In a world that often glorifies aggression, assertiveness, and the unchecked expression of anger, the Stoic philosophers present a radically different view on what true strength entails. The Stoics, an ancient school of philosophy that flourished in Greece and Rome, placed immense value on self-control, reason, and the cultivation of inner peace. Among their core teachings, perhaps none is more powerful or pertinent in today's world than their view on anger and emotional control. According to the Stoics, it is weak men who give in to anger. They believe that only fools mistake anger for strength or dominance, failing to realize that, in truth, it is the very act of succumbing to anger that demonstrates a lack of strength and control. This notion is perhaps most famously encapsulated in the words of the Roman emperor and philosopher, Marcus Aurelius, who stated, "The nearer a man comes to a calm mind, the closer he is to strength." To understand why the Stoics held such a firm stance against the expression of uncontrolled anger, it is important to first delve into their philosophy of virtue, reason, and emotional regulation. The Stoics, especially thinkers like Epictetus, Seneca, and Marcus Aurelius, believed that humans are naturally equipped with the capacity for reason and rationality, but that most people fail to cultivate these faculties, allowing themselves to be swayed by external circumstances and fleeting emotions. In their view, only by mastering one's internal world can a person be truly free and powerful. And one of the most telling signs of a person's lack of control is their tendency to give in to anger. Before we go further, check out our bookstore for self-improvement books on the pop-up link. The link will also be in the description for those who want to continue watching till the end. To the Stoics, anger is not a powerful force but a destructive one. It is a form of weakness that arises from an inability to accept the world as it is. When someone becomes angry, they are, in effect, giving up their power to the situation or the person they are angry with. This relinquishing of control is precisely what makes anger such a dangerous emotion. As the Stoic philosopher Seneca wrote, in his On Anger, anger, when it becomes a habit, has the potential to corrupt and utterly dominate the soul. This domination of the soul by anger is what the Stoics sought to avoid at all costs. Anger clouds judgment, impairs reasoning, and drives a person to act impulsively. When one acts in anger, they often regret their actions later, seeing them as rash or foolish. The Stoics believed that emotional impulses, such as anger, should be recognized and examined, but never allowed to take the reins of one's behavior. It is only by observing and controlling these impulses that a person can act in accordance with reason, rather than reacting from a place of unchecked emotion. Marcus Aurelius, in his Meditations, echoed this sentiment, stating, "How much time he gains who does not look to see what his neighbor says or does or thinks, but only to what he does himself." This reminder that we are responsible for our own actions, and not at the mercy of external provocations, encapsulates the Stoic approach to anger. When we allow ourselves to be enraged by the actions or words of others, we are effectively surrendering our autonomy and rationality. True strength lies in the ability to retain control over one's emotional state, no matter the external circumstances. For the Stoics, anger was akin to the behavior of a wild animal, unrestrained, unpredictable, and untamed. They argued that giving into such emotions made humans behave less like rational beings and more like creatures governed by their base instincts. Seneca put it bluntly, "No one is born angry, but it is an emotion that grows within us through neglect of the mind." This neglect, according to the Stoics, comes from failing to develop the capacity for self-reflection and reason. A person who acts out of anger, according to Stoic philosophy, is controlled by their feelings and external circumstances rather than exercising their capacity for rational thought. This is why, for Stoics, anger is the antithesis of true strength. A strong person is one who can remain calm and composed, even in the face of provocation or adversity. They have trained themselves to respond to life's challenges with equanimity, not emotional outbursts. Epictetus, another prominent Stoic philosopher, emphasized the need for self-control when confronted with anger. He noted, "It is not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." This powerful insight reinforces the Stoic belief that our external circumstances do not determine our emotional state. Our thoughts and reactions to those circumstances do. To the Stoics, the ability to control one's thoughts and reactions is the true mark of strength. In addition to being a sign of weakness, anger was also seen by the Stoics as a major distraction from the pursuit of virtue. Virtue, according to Stoic philosophy, is the only true good, and it is through the cultivation of virtue that we attain happiness and fulfillment. Anger, with its disruptive and destructive nature, leads us away from virtue and towards vice. The Stoics believed that every action we take should be guided by the virtues of wisdom, courage, justice, and temperance. Anger, by its very nature, undermines these virtues. It leads us to act impulsively, without wisdom. It prompts us to seek revenge, rather than justice. And it clouds our judgment, preventing us from practicing temperance in our responses. As Seneca wrote, anger is an acid that can do more harm to the vessel in which it is stored than to anything on which it is poured. In this sense, anger becomes not just a weakness, but a barrier to living a virtuous life. By allowing ourselves to be consumed by anger, we divert our attention from the greater goal of moral excellence. The Stoics, therefore, saw emotional mastery, not just over anger, but over all passions, as essential to the development of virtue and, ultimately, a flourishing life. So, if anger is the product of a lack of control and a hindrance to virtue, how can one cultivate the calm and rationality that Marcus Aurelius and other Stoics valued so highly? The answer lies in constant practice and self-reflection. One of the key techniques advocated by the Stoics for mastering emotions like anger is the practice of mindfulness and self-awareness. By becoming acutely aware of our thoughts, feelings, and reactions, we can begin to separate ourselves from our emotions and recognize them for what they are, temporary and transient. Rather than being swept away by the tide of anger, we can choose to step back, observe the emotion, and decide not to act upon it. Another important Stoic practice is the technique of premeditatio malorum, or the premeditation of evils. This involves mentally preparing oneself for potential setbacks, frustrations, or challenges. By anticipating that others may act in ways that irritate or upset us, we can mentally rehearse how we will respond calmly and rationally, rather than allowing anger to take control. Finally, the Stoics also emphasized the importance of viewing life from a broader perspective. By recognizing that we cannot control the actions of others or the events that unfold in the world, we can relinquish the need to respond with anger. Instead, we focus on our own behavior and responses, which are within our control. As Marcus Aurelius famously wrote, the impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way. This suggests that every challenge, every provocation, can be an opportunity for growth if we choose to respond with calm and wisdom. In conclusion, true strength lies in mastery. In the end, the Stoics believed that true strength does not lie in the expression of anger, but in the ability to remain calm and rational, no matter the circumstances. Anger, they argued, is a sign of weakness, a surrendering of control to external events and emotions. By mastering our emotions and reactions, we can cultivate the true strength that comes from living in accordance with reason, virtue, and wisdom. As Marcus Aurelius wisely stated, the nearer a man comes to a calm mind, the closer he is to strength. In this sense, strength is not about dominating others or overcoming obstacles through force, but about the inner mastery that allows one to remain unshaken in the face of life's challenges. In today's world, where anger is often seen as a legitimate response to injustice, frustration, or even personal insult, the Stoic teachings offer a powerful antidote. Rather than allowing ourselves to be ruled by our emotions, we can strive to cultivate the calm, reasoned responses that the Stoics held in such high regard. By doing so, we not only gain mastery over our own emotions but also grow in wisdom and virtue, bringing us ever closer to the true strength that Marcus Aurelius and his fellow Stoics revered. We have come to the end of this video. Thank you for watching up to this far. Don't forget to like, leave a comment and subscribe. The link to our store is in the description. Until next time, take care.